Ready to learn some advanced British English expressions? Great. Grab a cuppa, a pen and paper, and let's do this. Number 1. Bob's your uncle. Bob's your uncle. This expression is used to mean that something is easily done or achieved. Think of it as saying, there you go, or that's it. It's not that complicated really. Once you plug the machine in and add your ingredients, you just need to press this button and Bob's your uncle. It will start baking the perfect loaf of bread. Now, when saying this phrase, we always use the weak version of the word your, which is y. Bob's your uncle. Bob's your uncle. You'll notice that the S at the end of Bob's is pronounced as a Z, z, which blends nicely into y. J, j. Say it with me. Bob's y, Bob's y. Bob's your uncle. Bob's your uncle. If you were to use the strong version of your, then the meaning would change and this phrase would become much more literal. Bob's your uncle. Is he? I had no idea. Now, while we're on the subject of Bob, the next expression is bits and bobs. Bits and bobs. This expression is used to refer to a collection of small items, often unimportant objects. I am sure you have a certain drawer or box somewhere that's just full of random bits and bobs, right? I went to Boots this morning and bought a few bits and bobs for my holidays. Wipes, sun cream, some hairpins, etc. When saying this phrase, we use the weak version of and we drop the D, leaving us with bits and, bits and. See, we blend the N with bits to make bitsin, bitsin. Say it with me. Bits and bobs, bits and bobs. Number 3 is keep a stiff upper lip. This expression is used to mean showing courage and poise in a difficult situation, almost like you're holding back your feelings and not allowing them to overwhelm you. He kept a stiff upper lip throughout the funeral and stayed strong until he was finally alone and could let it all out. The a here is weak. So keep a sounds like keeper, keeper. Then join upper onto stiff to make stiff upper, stiff upper, stiff upper, and you have keep a stiff upper, keep a stiff upper, keep a stiff upper lip, keep a stiff upper lip. Number 4. Number 4 is catch 22. Now, this expression is used to describe a dilemma, a difficult situation from which there is no escape, because no option is a good option. They won't employ me because I haven't got any experience, but I can't get experience if they don't employ me. It's a catch-22 situation. Now, in the word catch, ignore the T, but make sure that you don't soften the CH. It's pronounced ch, not sh. So we have catch, catch, catch 22. Now, sometimes you'll hear native speakers drop the second T in 20. They say 20, 20, 22 or 22. But I would encourage you to keep the T in 22. Keep both T's in 22. 22. Catch 22. Number 5. A blessing in disguise. I really like this expression because it speaks to the optimist in me. It's used to describe a positive result from a difficult or unfortunate situation. For example, breaking your back would be considered a terrible thing, but If the next day all able-bodied individuals are drafted into the army to go and fight in a dangerous conflict, and you cannot go because of your broken back, then you may consider that a blessing in disguise. Losing my job was a blessing in disguise. It gave me the opportunity to pursue my dream career. Now let's look at the two INs together. The first is ING, so this should be made with the back of the tongue high, followed by in, which is made with the tip of the tongue on the roof of the mouth. In, blessing in, blessing in, blessing in disguise. The final S in disguise is voiced, so it sounds like a Z, zzz. So we have disguise, disguise, disguise. A blessing in disguise. Number 6 is lost the plot. This expression is used to describe someone who's become confused or irrational, often due to a stressful situation. This is a person who's lost the ability to understand or cope with what's happening. Today, during our daily team meeting, my boss completely lost the plot and started shouting at the top of his voice. Now, depending on the level of emphasis, you may or may not decide to drop the T in both lost and plot. So you could say lost the plot, lost the plot. That would usually happen if you're saying it fast. He's lost the plot. Or you could say he's lost the plot. He's lost the plot. There I'm being more emphatic. He has lost the plot. I have to admit that sometimes when my kids have been stuck in the house all day, they lose the plot, and so do I. Next, number 7, on tenterhooks. On tenterhooks. Now don't make the mistake of saying tender hooks. Those hooks are not tender, it's tenterhooks. This expression is used to describe a feeling of anxious anticipation, like when you're waiting nervously for news or for something to potentially happen, like if your football team is in the World Cup final and it's down to a penalty shootout, you will be watching on tenterhooks. Yes! Oh, we are all on tenterhooks, waiting for the exam results to come out. The only pronunciation pointer I would give here is not to lengthen the double O. Hooks. It's not hooks, but hook, hook, hooks, hooks. On tenterhooks. Next we have number 8, toe the line. Toe the line. This expression is used to mean obey the rules or conform to expectations. Do what is expected of you and don't cause trouble or push back in any way. Toe the line. Julia has always been a bit of a rebel, but when she joined the police force, she was forced to toe the line and follow the company's policies. Regarding pronunciation, here the TH must be pronounced fully with the tongue between the teeth. The. And let's have a nice sweeping O in toe. Not to or to, but toe. Toe the, toe the, toe the line, toe the line. Number 9, the last straw. This expression is used to describe the final thing or issue, problem or insult, which is just too much to bear and it causes an unwanted change. Like, imagine you're carrying a huge box and only just able to cope. Then someone places a magazine on top. That tiny addition of weight is enough to make you collapse on the floor. That magazine was the final straw. The news of the pay cut was the last straw. He decided to quit his job. In this phrase, let's open the mouth wide for a long ah in last, last. If said fast, the T in last may be dropped. Last straw, last straw. And the final vowel requires a big space inside the mouth. Or, straw. The last straw, the last straw. Now, I do hope we're on the same page, which is my 10th phrase. On the same page. This expression is used to describe when two or more people have the same understanding of a particular issue. For example, I am committed to doing intermittent fasting, and my partner is on the same page. We've both read the same information about it and we understand its benefits. So we are on the same page. My aunt, however, has not read the information and she is skeptical about it. She is not on the same page as us. We need to make sure we're all on the same page before we commit to buying a house. And talking about pages, I have created a lovely PDF worksheet for this lesson, which you can download for free by joining my free ESL mailing list. I'll leave a link in the description below. Number 11, a fly in the ointment. This expression is used to describe something which spoils a situation, just as a fly would if it flew into a freshly painted wall and stuck. Oh, fly, I've just painted that wall. Daniel's severe intoxication on his wedding day was the fly in the ointment. The whole day was ruined. The here is pronounced the because the following sound is a vowel sound, oi, ointment. So the ointment, the ointment. And the first T in ointment is often dropped. A fly in the ointment, a fly in the ointment. Number 12, to turn the tables. This expression is used to describe a situation where the balance of power has changed or where there's a reversal of one's position relative to someone else. So for example, if I am super rich and I'm offering you a job because you're struggling financially, but then next week you suddenly become super rich and I lose everything and I ask you for a job, you could say the tables have turned. At the start of the debate, he was making me look really bad, running rings around me with his fancy words. However, once I calmed down and started making my points, I was able to turn the tables on him and win the overall argument. Now, the vowel is tricky for many students. We ignore the letter R, so we don't say turn, we say turn, turn. And we make the long sound. No R, turn, turn. The other thing to note here is the end of table, table, tables. The L here is a dark L, all, table, table. So you want to make the sound resonate further back in your mouth so that it creates a darker sound, all, table, to turn the tables. Next, we have 13, out of the blue. This expression is used to describe something which happens unexpectedly. So when you do not expect it. For example, it could be a nice surprise to get a phone call from an old friend out of the blue. Oh, sorry, hang on. My phone is ringing. Oh, it's Sadie. Hi, Sadie, how are you? This is a nice surprise. I haven't heard from you for ages. You're calling me out of the blue, what's going on? Now, with this phrase, you have a few options. We can say out of the blue with a weak of, out of the blue, or outer the blue, out of the blue, out of the blue. Taking away the v, outer, not out of, outer, out of the blue. Or we can go one step further and do a glottal T, outer, out of the blue, out of the blue. Though I would always encourage you to work a bit harder and keep this T in place, out of the blue, out of the blue. Number 14, to hold your own. This expression is used to describe when you're able to defend yourself or maintain your position. So if someone is bullying you or putting pressure on you to do something that you don't want to do, then you will need to hold your own, especially if there's no one else there to back you up or support you. She was the underdog, but she managed to hold her own against some of the toughest opponents in the competition. Again, the your here can be weak. Hold your own, hold your own. Then it starts to sound like hold ya, hold ya. Then we have an intruding R popping in here between your and own to make roan, roan. So we have hold ya roan, hold ya roan, hold your own, hold your own. Number 15, to cut to the chase. This expression is used to mean getting to the point quickly. We use it when we need to be direct and say what's important. In the UK, we aren't typically direct unless the situation really requires it. Often, being too direct can be considered impolite, but there are times when you need to be direct. If you are in charge and have to be decisive. If a situation is dangerous and you have to be clear and to the point. Or simply, if time is tight and a deadline is looming. Look, let's cut to the chase. I need you to finish the project by Friday or you're out. In this phrase, we merge the two T's in cut and to. So we hear cut to, cut to. You might be able to hear the hold or a glottal stop in cut, cut, cut to, cut to. And again, with the CH, never pronounce this as a soft sh. It should be ch, ch, chase, chase, cut to the chase, cut to the chase. You might also notice that the to, the vowel is weak, t, cut to the chase, cut to the chase. Cut to the chase. Now, I am going to cut to the chase and ask you to support my work by clicking the like button and subscribing if you want to hang out again. Take a moment to write down in the comments any of the phrases that were completely new to you. Try putting it into an example sentence, as this will help you to start remembering it for the future. Thank you for watching. Until next time, take care and goodbye.